Hello, everybody. Welcome to GT Planet and welcome to our 25th birthday anniversary stream. And, well, it's fantastic to be here on such a momentous day. I'm Chaz Draycott, lead video producer for GT Planet. Over on the far right-hand side is Andrew Evans, and in the middle we have the site founder, Jordan Greer. Jordan, just coming to you first. What does it mean to be here today with 25 years now continually, ticked off as GT Planet?
I know this is one of the craziest, most surreal days of my life, really. I mean, I was thinking about it, and I've actually been running GT Planet for the majority of my life now at this point. So to hit this milestone is just, it doesn't feel real. It really doesn't.
Insane, isn't it? Insane.
Yeah.
And Andrew, obviously you've been around here a lot longer than I have. And what does it mean for you to sort of be here for this milestone here today?
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, I wasn't there in the beginning days. I frequented some of the other Gran Turismo boards that were around at the time, but no longer with us because 25 years is a long old time. But I think I've been on the site nearly 23 years now, which is just a bit less than half of my life. So, yeah, it is so weird to think GT Planet's been part of me for that long.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've been newer on the scene than you two, to say the least, and even like 2.5 years now I've been part of GT Planet, and it feels like it's been 5 minutes because we've had such a good time doing everything we've done already. And I look forward to hopefully continuing that if Jordan doesn't kill me for doing such a bad job in all these daily races. We can see all of you in the chat as well. We will be hopefully answering some questions later on, so long as they're not too ridiculous, and we'll be speaking to you as it goes on. But the structure that we're going to go for here this evening is discussing where GT Planet started, where it is now, and how everything has been to get to this point. And obviously the man to answer all of that is Jordan as well. So I'll be sort of posing it to him as questions so we can give you all an explanation as to how we got here. Mr. Harrison Lord in the chat as well. Hello, sir. Good to see you here, mate. Good to see you.
Hey, Tom. Good to see you.
Now, the first thing, obviously, that would be on everyone's lips, Jordan, is how did it all start? What made you decide that this is what you were going to do, or way back 25 years ago?
Yeah. Wow. The thing about it is I really just wanted to make a website. It just sort of happened to be about Gran Turismo, which is kind of funny, really. But I was always very, very interested in websites and the internet, and I really had this craving from a very young age to make something on the web. And I tried different things. I think we all probably experimented with GeoCities, and I think Homestead was another old website building platform, and I really enjoyed that. But it didn't have a purpose. Yeah. There was no specific goal. And I got Gran Turismo 2 for Christmas of 1999, and I have a picture of that, which I want to show everybody.
You're gonna love this, everyone.
Yeah, this is kind of crazy. So that's me. That's a young, with some baby fat on me there, opening up my copy of Gran Turismo 2, which would actually end up changing my life and a lot of people's lives. So you just don't really know where these things are going to go. I mean, I had always loved Gran Turismo. I had it from day one, but Gran Turismo 2 obviously was a big game. I was really looking forward to it, and that was a really special Christmas gift for me at the time. And then it was actually a couple of weeks later, I was really into Gran Turismo 2, and I was anxious to make a website about something. So I thought, hey, why don't I just make a site about this Gran Turismo 2 game that I'm so obsessed with? And I actually built the first site on what was called MSN communities or MSN groups. And the way it worked, it was like a platform. I'm not really sure what you would compare it to these days. There's nothing really like MSN communities that exists now. It was basically a thing that would let you build a website and put certain web pages on there, and then it had a message board, which was sort of, high tech at the time, the fact that it gave you this message board platform. And I
Yeah.
really liked that. And much to my surprise, people started actually visiting the forums and posting in it. And MSN Groups had a category system, and this little Gran Turismo 2 community actually grew to be the second largest community in the gaming category on MSN at the time, which was a huge feat. And I was really proud of that. I've actually got a picture. So this is another picture of me actually on the original MSN community. And you can even actually see sort of what it looked like. This was the message board at the time, and I was zooming in on these dates, and it was pretty active. I think that's why it was so popular, because there was so much interest in Gran Turismo 2. I mean, that game was incredibly popular when it came out, and this community, because MSN was promoting their community platform, I counted, it was 2 clicks away from MSN.com. So if you clicked communities and then you clicked on gaming, video games, it was the second site that you would see, and it was called Gran Turismo 2. So I think MSN.com at the time was basically the homepage for everybody. The internet was very different, and we'll talk a lot about that later. But the internet was very different at the time, and so I think that was really what started the site and gave it that momentum. But yeah,
it's just mad to see.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
Just the physical layout of a browser. We still retain a lot of the way that all looks now, but even they're just the hardware as well. I mean, that's nostalgic as hell. There's a friend of mine at the moment actually who's building a modern sort of gaming PC in a tower that looks similar to that one.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely awesome. But again, I said this to you in the sort of warm up that we did effectively, that it's amazing that these moments were captured, because when something is starting like that, especially when you got the game as well, I mean, like you say, you never knew what it was going to amount to. But the fact that we have that immortalized, it's so cool. It really
I have to
cool.
thank my mother for that. I think she's watching right now. But fun fact, she actually named GTPlanet.
No way.
She's always been just incredibly supportive of the website and everything that I've done. So, and she loves taking pictures. She's a photographer, very talented photographer. So she takes pictures of everything. So I actually asked her last night, I said, hey, do you have any pictures from these dates? And, in about 10 minutes, she was texting me all these things that she had found. I had not seen that picture that you're looking at on the screen right now. I hadn't seen that. And I was like,
wow,
we have a picture of that? That's crazy.
That's mad. It's mad. But again, like you say, it's great to have them, and it's immortalized now, and it's there forever. And now it's on YouTube for everybody to see forever as well, actually, on top of that.
And it's going to be an avatar before long as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure that should be your picture. Like the face from that picture should be your icon on the forums now, I think.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I don't know about that. Yeah. I may regret sharing that.
How did it feel in the early days though? Like at the time of the image that we see here, like was there any idea of what you wanted it to grow into and how that was going to happen? Like what was the sort of the overall consensus around that time?
Yeah, I really just enjoyed running it. I mean, it was so exciting to get home from school and see everything that had been posted, and wake up the next day and see what was new on the site. That's where I really discovered online community. What it was actually like to connect with other people over a shared interest online. And, I think, I don't know, we have such a diverse audience. We have young people, we have older people watching this, but I don't think that it's really, I don't think that a lot of people that maybe are younger really understand what the internet was like in the olden days. Like back in my day, it wasn't like the way it is now. You didn't have, this was all long predating, any type of social media, Facebook, Twitter, Reddit. None of these things existed. There was no. Actually, we were just talking about this when we did our test yesterday. Wikipedia was also founded in the same month, just a few weeks, I think, before GTPlanet was created in 2001. So,
wow.
This was a very different landscape, and a lot of people were just sort of starting to discover and sort of realize what you could do on the internet like this. So it was a very exciting time. But I was really, really interested in that and very flattered that people were coming to this little community. And then what actually happened is, I mentioned that my mother named the website. That's because she bought me the domain name, gtplanet.net. She bought that for me as my 14th birthday present. And, I guess it makes me a pretty big nerd if you get a domain name for your birthday and you're excited about it. But
yeah.
I was thrilled. And she said, you need to turn this into a real website and sort of get it off MSN. And, what foresight she had.
Yeah.
And that was amazing, but I didn't really know how to build a website or anything like that. So we went to the bookstore. Again, sort of showing you how old everything is. Went to the local bookstore.
Amazon didn't exist yet either, so
Yeah. No problem. You couldn't just order a website next day.
Right, exactly. And learned how to make a website and actually do all of that. So got Microsoft Front Page 2000 is actually what I used, and figured out how to actually get a website online. And I made basically this. This was the first iteration of the site of GTPlanet, which was launched basically today. It might have actually come online a couple days later, but the domain was registered today. That's why we celebrate on this date. So this version of the website was just out there, and it actually linked back to the MSN group for the community and stuff. And I didn't really know how to do the forum stuff. I could publish a website in Front Page, and I figured out the hosting and got all that sorted out. And Front Page made it pretty easy to do all that. But the dynamic nature of the forums was really quite tough. And there was a guy, his name was Corey Breitfelder, and he was in the original MSN group. And he was, I was telling everybody there what I wanted to do. And he said, well, I can help you with that. I'm a professional web developer and a huge fan of this community. And I gave him access to everything that he needed. And I had sort of figured out what type of forum software I wanted to use. It was called Icon Board. It was written in Perl, and it used a flat file database system. I've got a picture of that as well. So this is what it actually looked like. This was the first iteration of the forums.
Wow.
And yes, the forums look different from the rest of the site. I don't know why. I thought that, well, I do know why, actually.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I do know why, actually. It's because I didn't know how to do anything else. So
we should have this yellow and black branding, though. I like that.
I mean, it's pretty cool. This original style, I found it from, it was like a template that I'd found from Icon Board. There was sort of like an Icon Board template library. And I told Corey, I said, hey, this is what I really like. I really like this look. And, I love the M3 GTR up there in the corner. And I was like, oh, that'll look really cool. And I made that logo, but I said, I don't know how to make it look like this. And so he did it for me. And I'm so grateful to him. And I've actually had the chance to reconnect with him a couple of years ago. And he's still doing well. Couldn't believe that GTPlanet was still going strong. But, without him, that was, that none of this would have been possible. But I was learning a lot too, because I knew that he was a professional, and he wouldn't be around forever. So I had to figure out how all of this stuff worked. And it was huge. A lot of people didn't want to leave MSN communities too. So there was sort of this transition period, as you can imagine, where people really didn't want to get up and leave this cozy platform. But it ended up being a good decision because MSN Communities closed down a few years after we left. So,
All right.
so it was a good thing.
Yeah, you've been ahead of the curve then on a couple of occasions, it seems.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously the people are saying, in the chat right now, it's so cool to see it because, they used to browse this, but not knowing why it was there, not necessarily why it was there, but how it came to be the way it was and, how it looks. And I mean, one of the pickups I took was that you've got great car choice, having a Carrera GT and then the M3 GTR as the show cars, But, if you had to show people now in the forums what do you think would surprise them the most about it, other than the fact it's yellow?
Yeah. Yeah, and it was really slow, much slower.
I bet, yeah. Like carrier pigeon.
Yeah, I think we could support about maybe 3 or 4 users online at the same time before everything would start crashing down. But I think the internet was a different place back then. It was a much friendlier place. There weren't nearly as many people online, so you had more of this communal atmosphere. It was really nice. I really do miss those old days, and everybody was just having a good time. It was a different world, it really was.
Well, yeah, 100%. And I mean, I'm sure you share a similar sentiment on that, Andrew. It was a completely different way of browsing, wasn't it, back then? Everything was. It felt a bit more alive, I think. I know things are so busy and fast now, but it just had a different atmosphere, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of stumbled into the whole the Gran Turismo community thing because, again, I was a bit of a nerd myself, and I was off doing my own thing and trying very hard to fail my first degree by playing Gran Turismo instead of working. So I was actually a member of quite a few different sites at the time, and everything looked and behaved and felt so differently depending on what site you were and what vibe you were. So yeah, I mean, I don't actually recall this version of GTPlanet because I think I joined in February 2003, so I think it had been through a revision before then. But I do recall seeing it because I was on the old GranTurismo.com site before that disappeared into the ether.
Jordan bought it out.
Yeah, everything. Every site had its own vibe. There was no, like these days you have your Facebook communities which all look exactly like one another.
Yeah.
You have Discord channels which all look exactly like one another,
yeah,
and are terrible. So, but for everything to behave so differently the internet back then was utterly lawless.
Yeah, it was quite fresh in a way though. At the same time, there was a bit more of a carefree atmosphere about it, I think, and like you say, they all were different. I mean, even now, I've got many nerdy interests and lots of different groups on Facebook, but a lot of them, it seems like they're only set up because the person who set it up didn't like the one that already existed. It's like everything's a clone, basically, because, they didn't like the original, and then you get things having to claim they're the original and so on. But, GT Planet's genuinely been there since day one and still has that same vibe about it. It's always a good, fun vibe. And, I mean, we treat it as, it's not just an online community for some people, though, is it, Jordan? It's more of like a home, and it's a place to really connect. I mean, it sounds, again, it's like saying it with everything, where there's this family sort of, what do they call it? Like a cliche. But it really is a home to a lot of people because it's been around for so long. It's quite a staple, isn't it? That's what sets it apart.
It is. And that's always like one of the coolest things to me is to see what a connection people actually have to it beyond just the game. But you meet people that are like-minded. You're all sort of interested in a lot of the same things, and the relationships form, and people forge these friendships, and it's just I just can't put into words how cool that is, because this is such a solitary thing. It's going back to that picture. You saw me there in front of the computer. Well, I'm still doing that. And the computer looks a little different, and the internet connection is a lot faster. But even now, I'm sitting in this room by myself. Even though I'm talking to you guys, I'm alone. So when you actually sit down and think about it, and and I get to meet these people in real life, which we'll get to later, but when you see that and you realize that it's having a real impact on real people, man, that's it's hard to put that into words, but it's one of the most rewarding feelings that I get.
Well, and another thing that's happened regarding that recently as well, just to let people know, is that when the both of you have been to live events, people have come up to you and given feedback on the fact that we do videos like this. We often pre-record these and then edit them, but stuff like this, you've had that physical interaction from people giving the feedback as well.
It's unbelievable, and it's it's really that is the ultimate to me. If somebody comes up and recognizes the name on my shirt, or recognizes me, or that and they say that they're a GTPlanet member. Wow, I mean, it's just kind of it's like spooky cool. It's just so neat, because it's like, wow, this is so real. I mean, even the first time I met Andrew, I was like, wow, like this is crazy. He's real. And he's not a bot. Everybody thinks that he is, and you hear indigo when he speaks, and it's like it's all real. It's all real.
It's
just
mad,
amazing.
Isn't it? I mean, I imagine there were people in the early stages as well that were like staple members that shaped how it is today. Are there any that come to mind?
Yeah, there was. I mean, a lot of them are not active on the site anymore, which I can't say I blame them, because that was 20 plus years ago. But we had so many people that were so engaged in the forums from an early time, and they did make that transition because they wanted to stay together. There's so many usernames. I remember, Talentless, Missing Blue, Fangio. He was a big a friend of mine. Somebody that I considered friends, and that's when I sort of really started to see, what type of connection these people had, and it's so different. Now I'll see somebody in the forums and I'll see a username, or they'll send me a message asking for help, and they'll have 1,000+ posts, and I'm like, I've not seen this user before. And I'm like, whoa, like this is crazy. But it used to be so small, and now, I mean, obviously this is my life, and there's people that are spending a significant amount of time on the site that I don't even know, and it's like, oh man, it's like, wow. That's when that started to happen. That was sort of a big turning point as well.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because there's a lot more of a family feel to it, and with not missing a single message on the forums, nothing going under the radar. I mean, Andrew, you're as well very active on there with all the daily races discussions, all sorts. You almost see everything that goes through, but I imagine there's still a few bits that go through the net, aren't there?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's always been forums that despite the fact that one of the responsibilities I have is community management, really. There's some forums that I daren't look in, even like going back to the days of the GT5 drifting and drag forums, which were always a bit chaotic. But yeah, no, we do see an awful lot of stuff. I mean, I've got 91,000 posts almost on the site now, which is ridiculous, but it has taken me like 23 years to accumulate. So yeah, I mean, I see a lot, I read a lot. I'm quite active on the site myself in most of the areas, but there's so much that we do have moderators for different sub forums, simply because we have so many people who have disparate areas of interest. Like I think I said a few weeks back that the first game specific sub forum outside of Gran Turismo that Jordan set up was the Grand Theft Auto forum. That's got so many posts in there from so many people on GTPlanet who obviously they're here for Gran Turismo originally, mostly, and they play GTA too, so they talk about GTA on the site as well, and they talk about other various different racing games. And we've got so many. I mean, I know Gran Turismo very well. I know Forza Horizon very well. Not so very good on most of the rest of it. So we tend to have more active people in those sub forums for Ren Sport or Forza Motorsport or Project Motor Racing or Project Cars, as was. So we do, we have active members, senior members with tens of thousands of posts who browse all of these forums. And yes, sometimes we do encounter people that, they've got quite a few posts and we don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Usually that's a good sign, because if they've got quite a few posts and we do know who they are and it's for bad reasons, not so good.
Yeah. Very true. I just quickly checked how many posts I had on the forums because I knew it was quite minuscule. We could play a little game in there, and anyone in chat, could you guess to the nearest 5 how many posts I have in the forums very quickly? It's more than 5, I'm happy to say.
15?
More than 5. More. Which I'm surprised at because I think I only remember posting about 3.
You around 50 maybe?
26.
26.
Because every time we do a podcast, I put a post on the forum for you.
Ah, yeah. So I was
Yeah.
going to say, because I've only probably actually written about 3. But my domain is here, YouTube. My domain is here.
Right.
And that's where I live. Jordan occasionally comes to check on me and realizes that I'm losing my mind because of driver rating and people's horrendous driving standards in daily races. Although today's, if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. It's very good fun today. Very, very good fun. And it was a discipline I'm rubbish at as well, which is dirt racing. Was there any point, Jordan, just coming back to the history side of things, was there a point ever where you thought this can't go on, or a bump in the road where maybe it would not have continued?
Yeah. There's been a lot of those times. I think probably the scariest moment was I kind of have to set this up a little bit. So again, the internet was very, very different back then. You had web hosting companies, and there were no clouds or anything like that. And a lot of the internet hosting ecosystem has sort of matured. But also remember, I had no idea what I was doing. So, I mean, you saw the boy in the picture. He was just doing his best. So I was trying to grow the site, scale the infrastructure, and these servers. I mean, our cell phones are probably 10 times more powerful than the servers that were running the first iterations of GTPlanet. So it was a constant battle, a constant source of stress to figure out how to keep the site online because it kept growing. Yeah. And, it would get knocked offline, and, there were all these crashes and database problems. And I mean, Google itself was like, 2 or 3 years old at this point, and search engines didn't work that well. And I didn't really know what I was doing. So there were so many times where I thought, I'm not going to be able to fix this. Everything is lost. And it, it got it back online somehow. But, there was one instance in particular where we had a hosting company, and they had this great deal, and it was like a dedicated server, which we had needed to move to a dedicated server, about 6 or 8 months into the site's lifetime, because it was growing really, really quick. And there was this company that had this amazing deal, and they said, oh, if you prepay for like 6 months or something, we will give you this big discount. And I was like, okay. And, we made it work and stuff, and it was too good to be true. And it really was. So about a month after the transition happened, that company went out of business, and they just took all their servers offline, including GTPlanet. And then they were actually, they were doing what's called co-location in this data center. So they didn't actually own the data center. They rented a bunch of server racks in the data center, and then they were reselling that to people like me. Very, very, that's all very common, but going out of business is not as common. So what they did, they had all their servers, and so the data center took that over, and they contacted me, and they're like, well, we have your server. If you want it,
holding it ransom.
Yeah, they basically held it at ransom, and they said, if you want it, then you're going to have to pay. I can't remember what the amount was. It was well over. It was several $1,000s, wow. And that was really scary because I wasn't really doing proper backups at the time. I didn't really. Well, the other thing, I'm doing all this on a 56K modem. Okay, so I didn't actually get high-speed internet until, the site was probably 2 or 3 years old. So, this is all, I'm not just like downloading copies of the backup stuff. That was not a thing. So, 56 kilobits per second. This is a different time. So it's like horse and wagon, it's like, it's really
carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon. And so it was really a scary situation, and we just had a couple of days to come up with this money, or else the server was going to be disposed of.
Wow.
And so I didn't have the money, and some people made some donations. Duke, who was one of our administrators at the time, he donated the bulk of the money to actually be able to get that server back, and I'll forever be grateful to him, because without that, the early days of the site would be missing. I mean, it would not have been the same. So
that's insane.
Yeah, we've had some scary moments, a lot more than people would probably realize.
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? And I suppose for the sake of professionalism as well, even if there is even a blip in this modern day, people probably wouldn't know a lot of the time.
Oh no, they don't know. They don't know. We're one click away from disaster at any time.
Sounds like me.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose it's especially with how fickle the internet can be these days as well. I mean, how often do we see it where one AWS server goes down and the whole everything's gone?
Yeah,
it's insane. And I mean, even from just an individual or personal perspective, over I mean, I've made it well known on my YouTube videos because I moaned a lot about it, but over Christmas and New Year, I was without internet for 6 days because of one tiny technical failure in the little fiber box on the wall, and that wrote me off. And because of how it is now, because everything is so online nowadays, I was completely isolated from planet Earth. It was so strange. But I think sometimes we forget that there's a lot more reliance on it now, but back then it was more for enjoyment. I know still it was a business aspect, but there was a lot more enjoyment in it. There's a lot of enjoyment. I'm not wording this very well. The only reason people used to do it was enjoyment, but now it's like you feel disconnected without it.
Yeah.
So it's almost more of a need than a want. You never know. But still, moving on, the main topic of the site itself, of course, is Gran Turismo and the franchise. It's what we love. It's what ties all of us together. It's why everybody, is here because of that shared interest. What is it like growing alongside a franchise like that? Because obviously, the franchise itself has been around for a long time as well and looks to continue to be, which is obviously very healthy. Whoever Chaz is, cheers. Thanks. I've not been here long. 2.5 years. Not long. It's fine. I was wondering if I was going to get slated at any point tonight. People are going to slate my driving. But growing alongside Gran Turismo, I imagine with polyphony being polyphony, as we sometimes say, I imagine that's not been easy, has it, to do that?
No, it's not. But it's also, I think, a reason that GTPlanet has been so successful, because polyphony is so mysterious. They're so they appear to be so random at times. Just their behavior and the way that they communicate and the way that Gran Turismo games are built and way information around them is shared. I think it really causes a strong desire for people to sort of figure out what they're doing. It creates a mystique around it of sorts, and I think that's one reason that the site has been so successful. But yeah, it's been interesting to see how that has changed. As I've grown up, and now I've had the chance to literally peek behind the curtain. I visited Polyphony Digital's studios, both of them, and that was really quite interesting to come. To think about that little boy that was opening up Gran Turismo 2 on Christmas that we showed earlier. I'm not going to show it again. But
you've missed your chance if you haven't seen the picture. You've got to skip back.
But
it's corking.
Yeah, to think that he would one day be actually visiting where that game that he was holding was made is pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's mad. It is mad. Omnis saying he got his first date by telling his date that he was a mod on GTPlanet. That's the power of GTPlanet. That's what it does. It's what it does. But I mean, Andrew, you've obviously had to document it as well, writing so many of the articles for the website as editor-in-chief, of course. What's it been like trying to put that into words? Because as we've seen, polyphony can be, as Jordan said, random. I think is the best word for it.
Yeah, no, it's been quite a crazy ride, because I say originally we weren't on the media aspect of it at all. Said we were forums through until I don't even know when the first articles began to appear on GTPlanet. I think it was 07 for prologue, maybe, I don't know. and yeah, it kind of, I suppose it was a natural extension, because an awful lot of what happened on the forums was, hey, here's this piece of information that's leaked out of somewhere, or it's appeared in a magazine or something, and it was discussed on the forums. So I think even back in the GT2 days, there was the fabled picture of the CLK that never made it to the game. So yeah, I mean, a lot of what we did was that the people on the forums would discover things, and wasn't necessarily always what Sony wanted us to discover. And it kind of extended into that. And I think the first time that it really became apparent that there was a kind of, that they recognized what GTPlanet was I think was maybe 2010, or was it a little bit earlier? Was it with GT Academy? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
09.
Yeah.
When they had the second race camp in the UK with the one that was eventually won by Jordan Greer. And yeah, it's been a wild ride since then, really. That, you know, we've kind of transformed into this. We still have, obviously, the forum side where people discuss everything down to the finest creases on a computer-generated tarp over a car, to grand things like who should step down because the game's not got this car in it, and all sorts of crazy stuff all up and down the spectrum. So we still obviously have the forum side, but now obviously we've got the kind of the media side where we're reporting on not just Gran Turismo. It did obviously start out as Gran Turismo, but you know, we've had Gran Turismo and Forza and other games have come along, and we did some car stuff for a while when there were three of us, and it kind of, yeah, it's been a weird kind of expansion really into this world of I'm not just writing stuff in purple on a forum. Now I'm actually a writer, and I've got to take responsibility for words rather than just saying random stuff that I happen to think about.
Yeah, it's mad how it all develops, really. It really is. And again, it's one of those things that we have to love it for, you know, and that's what we share, you know, the three of us. I mean, again, just speaking on the randomness of Polyphony, how often is it that we have a little thing in our chat that tells us when Chaz tweets something, just in case some random mental news comes out of nowhere. It's very often a case of I'll wake up in the morning, see my phone, and it'll say Chaz has tweeted, followed by what? and then it's like a call to scramble, and we all just jump to action. And then there's videos and articles and everything, and it's often very, very funny. Where did Chaz come from? I was just about to start reading some questions out, actually. I was born in 1992 by... I know, it makes... I'm sorry, boys. I think it makes you feel old. I was brought in very kindly as... this isn't about me, I'm just answering. But I was very kindly brought in as lead video producer by Jordan, the lovely man that he is. It was April 23 we started speaking about it, wasn't it? April to May. And just simply because I do YouTube content, I love to make video content. And I'd worked with Jordan briefly before on the GTPlanet League, if you all remember that. That was 2019, was it? Yep. Or 18? Yeah. With Chris McCarthy. That's how I got introduced to Chris as well. And we're still very good friends to this day. And yeah, I got working on that with Jordan. He somehow thought I did a good job, even though I was being an idiot. And yeah, now I work with and for him, and we have a really, really good laugh. Jordan came from heaven, he says. Smooth talker. I was going to just mention the questions, though, that we've got a few coming in chat. And obviously, keep throwing them in. We'll try and get to them as time goes on. You're all lucky as well, actually, because I was going to be really tight and make you donate to ask a question that we would answer, but we're not going to do that. That's the YouTuber in me coming out. So what is your favorite memory of GTPlanet in these 25 years, Jordan?
Wow. I mean, there's so many.
I was going to say, we've got a while.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different types of memories that fall into so many different categories, because I have memories of, real life things that I've been able to do because of GTPlanet. I have memories of things that were happening on the forums, which were, very, exciting and stressful, and just, that there's just, man, there's so much going. This is going way back here, but this is something which just kind of comes to mind. There's a user named Amar212. He is from Croatia, and he is a Gran Turismo insider. And he has connections. Very mysterious man. I have been able to meet him, and I consider him a friend at this point. That's all I'll share about this mystery man. But Amar, I do hope you're watching, and I hope you're doing well. He got a copy of, I believe it was for BMW dealerships in Croatia. It was a copy of the game of Gran Turismo 4, and it was the very first iteration of the Nürburgring Nordschleife in a Gran Turismo game. Wow. And he had this video, and he was actually able to record it. Andrew's looking for his copy of this disc probably right now. But he was able to, yeah, there it is. And so this just kind of came out of nowhere from a news perspective at the time. Okay, so like it wasn't really like it is today, where we sort of have all these leaks and stuff. But he just posted, and he's like, guess what? There's this game, there's this track, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which is coming to Gran Turismo, and it's a real track. And like, I had heard of it, but I didn't really know it. Again, I mean, this is all pre-YouTube. This is pre-everything. And bandwidth is still at a premium, so it's what do we do? And so he sent me a message, and he's like, what do I do with this file? This file was around, I think it was like around 150, 200 megabytes, and you couldn't just put a video up somewhere. And back in the day, this is not. I mean, I realize this sounds ridiculous to a lot of people listening now, but it wasn't like that. But I had a server, and I had the knowledge and the experience to be able to host this video, and we put that video out on our server, and it was like gangbusters. You had people from all over the internet wanting to see this because it was amazing. It looked incredible. It was so cool to see that, and that was a huge period for GTPlanet. I mean, that stands out to me. I mean, it's just one of my many memories. I have so many stories. There's another funny story, a big period of growth. There was a guy, and his name was, let me back up a minute. So, again, early internet stuff here. We're going way back. But I mean, we should. It's the 25th anniversary. So back in the early days of the internet, I feel like such an old man telling these stories.
Like, you've got to put that in your footer on the forums. Back in the early days of the internet.
Back in my day, back in my day, people would type in domain names to find stuff because it wasn't really as search engine based as it is now. Like if you want to search something, you're like, let me go to Yahoo or Ask Jeeves or something, and write down all my favorite website URLs. But there was the domain names were really important, and we can talk too about why it's .net instead of .com later. But I really wanted, GT3 was getting ready to come out, and I was like, man, if I could get GT3.com, that's going to be amazing, because that's how people use the internet back then. They're like, oh, GT3, I'll go to GT3.com and maybe there'll be a website there. So I went to it, and there was this guy. It was just this guy's personal homepage. His name was like George Thompson III or something like that.
No.
And he owned GT3.com. And so I emailed him, and I said, hey, I would like to buy this domain name from you. And he just wanted this crazy amount of money. He wanted thousands of dollars. And I said, I can't afford that. I said, I can maybe do $100, which I thought was a big offer. And I wish I could have bought it for whatever he was asking. GT3.com would have been worth a lot of money nowadays, but I couldn't afford it at the time. And but I explained to him the situation, and he said, he said, I'm not going to sell you the name. He said, I can't sell it for $100 or whatever I was offering. But he said he started getting all these emails from people like asking him about Gran Turismo, and he got so frustrated with it that what he did is on the homepage he put this giant link, and he said, this is not a Gran Turismo website. If you want a Gran Turismo website, go to GTPlanet.net.
Our first advert.
the first advert, and it was so funny. And like all of a sudden, the traffic started just going through the roof on GTPlanet. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? And I could see in the referrals it was coming from GT3.com.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I just tried to have a look at it now, actually, because obviously, aside from Gran Turismo 3, there is the very famous and popular worldwide racing category, GT3 cars.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know if it's different for you over there, whether you want to try it now, but it refuses to connect at all right now.
He should have sold it to me.
George, mate, you've messed up. I hope you're watching. I hope you watched it. I'm going to look at you. I hope you're watching this, George. Look at what you did. But also, thank you. Still, another question. There was another one. What was or what is your favorite car in the franchise?
Oh,
Andrew, we'll start with you. There's going to be something daft now.
Probably going to go for the TVR Cerberus Speed 12.
Yeah.
Not the earlier Speed 12, but the Cerberus Speed 12.
Yeah, the longer one, not the... Because there was that weird, short, strange prototypey one, wasn't there? That recently...
The original was it was designed after the 712, so it was the purple. I mean, obviously, love it because it's purple. But the car kind of evolved a bit from there. There was a race modified version of it as well in GT2, which was, I think I do remember a lot of people loved smashing around Red Rock Valley with that.
Yeah.
But I preferred the proper road car. It was just it looked a bit nicer, and you get it in a lovely range of reflex colours, including purple. So
yeah. To be fair, every time Andrew ever sends me a thumbnail, a replay, anything, all the cars are purple, and this wonderful purple that he's got, and yeah, it looks awesome on every car. That's the mad thing as well. It looks good on everything. It's a really good colour. Jordan, favourite car?
This is going to probably surprise some people. Going back to Gran Turismo 2, it was
That doesn't surprise me.
the Toyota Altezza.
Really?
And I had one in yellow, and that was my car in the game. And I just loved it. I thought it was just such a good looking car, and it was sporty, but it was a sedan, which I thought was really cool. And I tuned that car up, and I was like, every race I could enter it into, I was using it. And if I could beat like faster cars in the game with that Altezza, I thought, oh man, I was like, yeah, I got my car. Like I'm like we're just like I was like man and machine. We were just one with that Altezza, and I still remember. I remember the first time I saw a real, eventually came to the U.S. as the Lexus IS, and I remember the first time I saw a yellow one, and I did actually eventually see a real yellow Altezza in person, like a Toyota Altezza, and right-hand drive and everything, and I was like, wow, I was like, this is truly the thing. I wish I had a picture of it now, but that's probably my all-time favorite car. Yeah, that's probably my all-time favorite.
I think for me, I'd go all the way back to Gran Turismo 1, and getting very specific, it would be the racing modification version of the Supra RZ, where it was the white with the yellow headlight covers, and it had this silver design down the side of it. It was reminiscent of a GT 500 livery, I believe. And I think it was based on the 96 car with the square rear wing rather than the bigger 2001 rear wing on it. And I just think that is the beefiest looking Supra I've ever seen. And the livery was a simple livery, and I think all the racing modifications ones were, because you had the NSX that was like in a dark blue or a dark red color, and it looked fantastic like that. But that Supra for me was just the epitome of Gran Turismo 1. Like every time I played that as a kid and went on it in the morning, I loved it. I'd be up stupid o'clock in the morning going and playing it, and I'd turn that soundtrack up so loud for that intro, because that also, to me, just to touch on that, is still the best game intro I've ever seen, and I frequently play that song on Spotify as well. And it's, if anybody doesn't know what song it's the Chemical Brothers remix of Everything Must Go by Manic Street Preachers, and you can find it on YouTube, and I think it's on Spotify still now. But it was on Spotify for a bit and then went, and I was very sad. But yeah, now it is. That shows you how much of a nerd I am, doesn't it? I spent years trying to find it, and then I found it.
But that was only in the European version. I think the American one was Lenny Kravitz, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no! So you've never heard it, Jordan? I assume you
I've
have.
heard it. Yeah.
I was going to say yeah. Well, of course he has. What am I on about? That's why I've only been here 2.5 years.
Yeah. I think the Japanese version might have just been Moon Over the Castle, but it's been a while since I played it. It's up there behind me, but I haven't played it in a long time.
Moon Over the Castle is a hell of a tune. I like the latest, the GT7 iteration. I think it's cool.
Yeah. Just going back to the GT3 thing, I see Omnis in the chat has tracked him down. It's Mr. Gardner Trask. I knew it wasn't like George Thompson, but I couldn't remember Gardner Trask from 23 years ago. I've never met anyone with that name before, so that's not it didn't stick in my mind. I knew it wasn't right, but yeah, I'm glad to know he's still around. I wonder what he's.
Isn't that the bad guy from X-Men: Days of Future Past?
Gardner Trask.
It does sound like a sort of name from something like that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like,
I need to reach out to him.
It sounds like he should be like a tech billionaire sort of supervillain or something.
Yeah. Well, he owns GT3.com. He should have done quite well.
It's a name you could shout to the heavens. Trask!
Yeah. Jordan's going to put an offer in after this stream, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
He's going to see it, be incredibly insulted and refuse all offers.
Yeah.
Oh, FTOLM is a great shout as well, by the way.
Yeah, it's going to be my second choice. The original one, not the later one.
Yeah, that is a hell of a car. And even, I mean, I could go on about the cars for hours. I mean, that's why we're here. But the old Mitsubishi GTO that you used to get for doing all the license golds, the bright gold one, that was just insane.
The chap in Norway has had a go at building, as we might remember.
Yeah. God, scary.
There are some really dedicated Gran Turismo fans out there.
There absolutely are.
Sitting in front of a collection of all of the games.
I was going to say, if anybody could have busted that version of the game out of nowhere like you did before, it would only be you. To go back then to GTPlanet itself and the history and how we've gotten to being here today. Obviously, there obviously came a point, Jordan, where it became more than just a bit of a hobby and a bit of a love for a game, that it actually became a responsibility, and a job effectively at the end. Well, what was it like sort of going through that realization and adapting to that to give it that approach?
Yeah, that was really part of, growing up myself, because I went to college and studied computer science, and the site up until then, I mean, it was rocking and rolling, but there was no blog. Like, it's something that I kept updated, but I didn't have to really monitor the situation because the forums basically took care of all that. So I never really knew, what to do with the homepage. I'd have car lists and track lists and all that sort of stuff, which was actually kind of a holdover from the MSN group, because that's exactly how it worked. And that's kind of all I knew. Around Gran Turismo 4, traffic really started to pick up, and it really started to get bigger, and it started to make money, and internet advertising was coming on, and I was like, okay, this is something. And then I launched the blog in I think that was near the end of 2000. Well, it was around 2008, I think, is when the first posts started to show up. I should have double checked the exact date. But when I launched the blog, I installed WordPress and started publishing articles. And that changed everything. Really, that was sort of a huge turning point for GTPlanet. It was never the same after that, because what I felt was that people needed a place to sort of digest all of the information that was coming out in the forums. And Gran Turismo 5 was just over the horizon, GT5 Prologue and all of that. And I thought there needs to be, this is something that would be really useful, because I'm taking in all this information. I need to just start publishing exactly what's happening and sort of consolidating all this into one feed. And that's what I did. And the site just went berserk after that. And that's when it really took off. And that's when it started taking a lot more time. And then you combine that with Gran Turismo 5. We're talking 2009, 2010, around there. And there was just this fervor for Gran Turismo 5 information. It was, it's not really comparable even to the hype that games get now, that Gran Turismo games get now. I think because Gran Turismo 4 was so huge, it was such a big game. So the fact that you have, the PS3 and you have this online, everything was sort of changing with gaming. We had high definition. the hype for Gran Turismo 5, unless you were there, I don't think you can really understand what it was like. And so many people now that I meet, they say, oh yeah, they said that's where I found GTPlanet. I was reading your site every day. I was checking it in school. I was checking it at work. I was checking the blog just constantly because I couldn't wait to see what the latest info about the game was. And again, this predates social media news feeds. The internet was not the same, so the only place you would really get that info is on the GTPlanet homepage. So a lot of people got addicted to the site at that time, and that's really when everything changed for me. And it really turned into a business. And I was out of school at that point, and I decided, I'm really enjoying this. Got invited to the first media event, the Gran Turismo 5 launch party in Madrid, which was, a huge thing. I hate that I don't have it loaded up. I was going to load this up, the clip of me meeting Kazunori for the first time.
Oh, wow.
At the Madrid City Hall where they hosted the GT5 launch party. And I was there with a guy named Andreas Nye, I think. And he was with Inside Sim Racing, which was a popular YouTube channel at the time. And they had him there as like their cameraman, as their European correspondent. And he was with me, and we were filming, and he did an interview with me, my first interview on camera. I wish I could find that and load that up, because that was a fun thing to watch. But that's when I realized, I'm like, okay, this is serious, and I need to focus on this, and maybe it can go somewhere. And well, here we are 15 years later after that.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, I mean, that wasn't even the halfway point, of up to where we are now. It was mad. Absolutely mad. Just switching quickly over to you as well, Andrew. What in terms of we obviously you put the words out there for us all to read and for me to use as scripts very easily and lackadaisically. What's it like trying to sort of inform like that with something that's always like a moving target with this sort of franchise, let's say?
Oh, that's a tricky one, actually. So I mean, a lot of people probably don't know, but I took a bit of a break after, what was it, GT6? I think it was. And I went and I worked for a car magazine / publisher down on the South Coast. And I spent a couple of years there. And then came back because I had a brush with a kidney stone as I walked into the Geneva Motor Show. So I kind of
was it walking the other way?
Well, unfortunately not. It stuck with me for a while. So yeah, I basically I was okay at doing the writing as I was originally, and then I got kind of a lot of training on the job while I was working for this company down in Gosport. Lovely bunch of people. I only really left because of the kidney stone. It was a 300-mile drive each way every weekend, so it was a bit of a trek. So that, it kind of got me into the mindset for reporting on pretty much anything in the same way. So yeah, I mean, Gran Turismo has always been a fun one. They do tend to do what you least expect when you least expect them to do it, which is always a cracker. But it's always been very entertaining to follow them. In fact, I actually got to meet Kazunori Yamauchi first before Jordan did, because we
got that in
Cologne, which was that was again in the kind of the early days of the site becoming what it is now. So we were very fortunate to have a bunch of members who were happy to donate some travel costs to us, because it's a bit of a trek to Cologne, and my car at the time was not the most efficient way of driving. So we drove down, me and a member called Venari, who does occasionally drop in every now and then. He's got a lot of real life going on. So we drove down to Cologne overnight. And I think Andreas Nye was there as well. I think he was on the ground for Inside Sim Racing as well. So I got sitting there and do the press conference, and I still had some Japanese in my head because I did some Japanese at university, which was at that point in time a decade ago. It's now a lot more than that. So I could kind of half listen into what Yamauchi was saying before Translator-san, as we didn't yet know him as Translator-san then.
Yeah. What a bloke.
Yeah, so I could kind of get in on some of the stuff that he was saying, and it was very entertaining, and it was my first time meeting and kind of also witnessing Yamauchi, because he was smoking quite a lot and pacing up and down as he was practicing his what he was saying in the presentation. It was kind of fun to see the human behind it.
Yeah.
Which is, a lot of people don't get to see that aspect. He's this kind of ephemeral character who turns up and says things, and people then try and pick through the words for the rest of the time. So it was good to meet him. And we had a chat about various things. We had a few community sourced questions, and it was very whirlwind. We drove back the next morning.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a crazy time, and we've extended not from just covering Gran Turismo originally to doing all these various other titles now as well, which is it's been wild. And as Jordan says, the difference, because in the site between 2003 when I joined, I think I became a moderator a couple of years later. I think I don't recall exactly when, but the kind of the period there where it was a fan site and we were just talking about stuff, and then evolving into this media site, it's very much a complete change in tone. But nonetheless, the forums have remained pretty much the same as they ever have, really. But the site itself has evolved.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing I think about it, is that something that is information on a screen can still evolve as if it was a living thing. There's an evolution path to it, and you can shape that yourself. And speaking of doing so, Jordan, has there ever been a point where you've, obviously because it was born out of a labor of love, was there ever a point where you had to choose what was right over what you wanted to do specifically?
Yeah. I mean, it's always a challenge because when you're dealing with people, especially in the community, there's never a clear right option. I mean, there isn't usually a clear correct options, because you're gonna hurt somebody's feelings eventually, and there's that manifests itself in so many different ways, in terms of decisions that you make. I mean, even like Andrew mentioned, when we started branching out to cover other racing games, that was really pretty controversial at the time because GTPlanet, it's in the name, GT, but I could see in the forums that we just had this huge amount of interest in these other games, and I thought, well, we kind of need to branch out and give these people what they want and bring in, keep growing the audience so that we can keep doing this. And now I think people are used to it, but you still get the occasional comments on Facebook, and people are like, why is GTPlanet covering this? They're angry, but they're on Facebook, so we give them some grace for that, and they're in the Facebook comments. But
the thing we see the most is, we've got this car, and this car, and this update, and as always, with Gran Turismo, they are beautifully presented and without bias. Genuinely, I mean, I always tell these guys anyway that compared to all sorts of games that we've all played, Gran Turismo, especially Sport and 7, are the prettiest racing games I've ever seen. There's so many screenshots where you have to look twice, and unless there is a Gran Turismo logo in the corner, it's hard to know whether it's not a real picture or not. No other game does that in the same way. But because of that, I've also forgotten my point I was making. I've actually genuinely forgotten. But what was I saying?
You were talking about how the people are wanting more and more cars.
Yes, sorry, I just completely romanticized this idea. But
just drifted off into.
Yeah, I do that a lot. But the first thing you see in the comments is, "I want this car," and it'll be it's usually a BMW M4 that people ask for some reason because it's ugly as all sin. But it's just, I want this car, or I want this instead. I work closely with the developer of another game as well, and they always release added locations for their game, and it's always, I want this one, and it's usually it's easy to get frustrated with that because you're thinking, surely how much effort goes into putting this content out for you, and all the updates for Gran Turismo 7 are free, except for the power pack, but it's that. I mean, that they could have charged a lot more for that, considering how much content they put into it. But it's easy to get frustrated from this side of that, especially when we're reporting on that. We try and hold back a bias, but we have to have one. And and yeah, it's a shame to see that come through sometimes. But like Jordan says, we give them a wide berth over on Facebook. We love you all, obviously, because it's helping our algorithm. But we're giving you a wide berth. We'll move on. Well, there's so many questions that I've got written down here, Jordan. What? Oh, I like this one. I like this. When did GTPlanet first start being taken seriously by the games industry? So when do you remember a specific moment where an industry connection or a relationship was developed by that?
Yeah, and I think there was a question in the chat too, similar to this. I can't recall who asked it, but they were asking, how did that connection between GTPlanet and Polyphony form? And it was a guy. His name was I'm gonna butcher his name. It's like he worked for Jardine International, which was the company that organized the GT Academy finals, and he was there at Silverstone, and he was I think his username on GTPlanet was Sphinx, and he reached out to me, and he said he'd been working for them, so he had contacts with the people that were involved in Gran Turismo 5 and the launch party and stuff. A lot of these people are the same ones who are still running the World Series now. So that's sort of where my relationships with all these people started. And it's amazing to go to these World Series events and meet the same people that I, was introduced to back in 2010. But he made that first connection. And I don't know if I've ever shared this before, but they were going to do something really special for the launch of Gran Turismo 5 with Mercedes. And as you know, the SLS, the AMG was the cover car for Gran Turismo 5. What Mercedes was going to do is they were going to promote the launch of the game, they were going to take a fleet of these cars with people in the media and drive them all around Spain, like from Barcelona to Madrid for the launch party. And then they were going to arrive in Madrid for the launch party. And it was going to be like a 4-day trip, and they were going to film everything, and we could talk about it and all that stuff. And he had suggested to them that, GTPlanet, that I should be a part of that. And they agreed. And they invited me to this event. And what the OGs may recall is that Gran Turismo 5 suffered a last-minute delay just a few weeks before its release, which, if the drama and controversy of the GT5 release could not get any more controversial, to have this delay just weeks before the game was supposed to come out was just unbelievable. It was also crippling for me because it meant that I wasn't going to get to go on this trip, and Mercedes, due to the logistics, they had to cancel it. But they still wanted me to come to the party in Madrid and the launch event. And so when I got there, that's really when I started to meet people. I started to get my name out there, and then but I still had no contact with anybody from like PlayStation America or anything on this side of the pond. But they had, I guess, word had kind of gotten out that I was, somewhat of a normal person. And so when they had GT Academy here in the U.S., they had an event with GameSpot. And it was, they wanted to do a live stream on GameSpot's channels and to promote GT Academy in the U.S. And they contacted me and they said, we would like you to come out to our studios here in San Francisco and drive the game and talk to our host on this live stream for like an hour and just talk about Gran Turismo and GT Academy and that sort of thing. I was shocked because I'd never really done anything like that before. And again, this is like 2011 or 2012. I can't remember exactly. But when I did that and I went out there, I could not believe that they asked me to do it. Because I could have been anybody, but I guess they knew or something. I don't know, but I went out there and that was an amazing time. I met Taku Imasaki, who of course is a U.S.-based Gran Turismo producer, deeply involved, deep history with the Gran Turismo game, and I could talk at length about that event. But that went really well. And then the day after that, I got a phone call from IGN, and they wanted me to co-host the GT Academy finals in San Diego, which would be sort of like the regional final where they fly all the top players in and have them qualify for race camp. And so I was on that. They put me on that with this guy, one of their co-hosts, and I'm not sure if that stream survives anywhere. Hopefully not, because I think it was pretty rough. That was my first stint at commentary and live hosting. That was rough. But that's when I met even more of the PlayStation people, and I developed friendships with them. They're all great people, by the way. That's people that are involved with Gran Turismo, and like they all share the same feeling that I'm sure most people watching this stream right now feel to Gran Turismo. Deeply passionate about the game and the franchise, and so we connected, and from there, it's just sort of the rest is history. And when they've had these events, they've continued to invite me, and we've got a great relationship. So that's kind of how that all started.
Yeah, it's incredible because, again, you never knew at the time how far that relationship would go and what doors that would open as well. I think that's the beautiful thing about this industry as well, because we've got so many connections online to people, but it's very often when you physically meet or if an event goes on, those relationships only get stronger, and so do the connections within it and the opportunities that come with that. It's incredible of how much that can grow. And I mean, Andrew, you have the same, I imagine, in the car world as well, on top of the GTPlanet world. There's so many doors can very quickly open, can't they, in ways like that?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to several live events as well. I think Jordan mentioned earlier that the first time that we ever met, bearing in mind that he'd been, sort of paying me to write stuff for his website, was 2016 at the Copper Box in London, I think.
Yeah.
And it was like, both of these people are real. I think you were saying that you were explaining to your mother, like, there's a British chap who I do all the...
I'm just going to send him money.
Now I've met him,
British chap. Now there's two of us.
I've not met you, Chaz. I haven't met you in person.
No.
That's true, yeah. You've only got...
I'm very sad about it.
What, 11 years to wait?
I know.
But yeah, no.
I'll have no hair by then.
You go to these events and you meet the same people over and over again. Like Jordan said, I think Glenn from Jardine was one of the first people I've met. Bumped into him at several events. He's brilliant. I love Glenn. When I did the London event, there was a chap there who I met years and years ago doing GT Academy. And I thought, oh, hey, yeah, I'm doing the socials now. Brilliant. Good. And you kind of meet all these people over and over again. And they're, as Jordan says, they're all wonderful people. They're all lovely. And they've all got the same passion for Gran Turismo. And some of them are even now appearing in it as well, with Rupert with his tune shop.
Yeah.
It's it's weird. It's surreal. I mean, I suppose I'm kind of used to meeting famous people now, and I was a bit when I did my first GT Academy, I was a bit starstruck because rest in peace, Sabina Schmitz was there and Johnny Herbert, and it was wild. And I sat down and I did some Gran Turismo racing head to head against some former F1 drivers. I think Rene Arnoux was there, which is like, what the hell? Why am I playing Gran Turismo against Rene Arnoux? I've in my professional life, I've got to meet some really crazy people, like car designers. I sat down and had dinner a couple of years ago with Luke Donkervolker, who's the designer of the Genesis Vision GT.
Wow.
It was his birthday. We had a steak. Fantastic. And it's kind of one of these weird places that GTPlanet's taken me. So yeah, it's been a bit of a crazy one. Yeah,
it's amazing to think you played Gran Turismo against Rene Arnoux.
Yeah,
that's just. I mean, even as a kid, I used to watch all the Murray Walker VHSs and videos about his famous like Formula One quotes and stuff. And there was a battle that I always remember. I could probably recite the whole thing of Gilles Villeneuve against Rene Arnoux at I think it was the Dutch Grand Prix 1970, and it was no, it wasn't 1970, it was after that, but yeah, it just the fact you played Gran Turismo against him. That was nuts.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts.
Sure. I mean, COVID has messed with my memory a little bit, so I might be mistaking it with someone else because it was 2010. But yeah,
Jean-Pierre Jarier. Who James Hunt hated, by the way. There's a very funny quote of him saying that he's got a mental age of 10 on the commentary, and saying that he shouldn't be a racing driver because he's French, which was just as James Hunt as it could be. Moving back to GT though, Jordan, obviously the GT series we mentioned earlier that obviously it's developed in time, and obviously the GTPlanet has not coexisted, obviously because they've been hand in hand, but you both had to develop in time. What has the relationship been like over time? Has it had its peaks and troughs, like I'm sure many do?
With Polyphony and that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean they're such good people, and they're so understanding of what the challenges are that we face as a community. So I think they really appreciate the fact that we are independent. And people are free to express what they want on the forums, because it's truly an honest evaluation of how people are feeling, and that's always been a pillar of the site and of our community. And I want people to feel welcome to express whatever they feel, and that's really important, as long as you do it respectfully, of course, and within the bounds of the acceptable use policy. But we sort of have, like, my metric for understanding if we're doing a good job in moderating, like the Gran Turismo forums, is if we have people that say, we're totally in the pocket for Polyphony and Gran Turismo, we're just fanboys, and then you have other people that say, we hate Gran Turismo and we are horrible and we hate the franchise and want it to die because we allow people to say things. And so we get both of those types of hate mail. We get a lot of hate mail, unfortunately, but
really,
oh yes, a lot. But we get a lot of criticism. That's not necessarily hate mail, but we get a lot of criticism for how we moderate. But you can't really moderate people's feelings and opinions. And I like to say that if you disagree with somebody, then instead of going to the moderators to have us moderate, then express yourself and say why they're wrong and engage in them. And I think that ethos of moderation is sort of what has led to the great open atmosphere that we have on the forums. And I think that Sony and Polyphony understand that, and they appreciate that too. And I want to be clear, I'm always GTPlanet first. I obviously have a wonderful connection to Gran Turismo. I consider Kazunori Yamauchi a personal friend. Like, he's someone that I am comfortable being around. And so many people involved in the Gran Turismo franchise are people that I know. And I sent him a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year text and stuff like that. And but GTPlanet is number one, and that will always have my first allegiance. And if something were to happen to cause a rift between me and Polyphony, like, it won't affect GTPlanet at all, because this website is where my allegiance lies, and to this community first and foremost.
Fair play. Yep. Fair play. And Andrew, has there ever been any times when I was going to say torn your hair out over Polyphony, but
yes, repeatedly.
Is that where it went?
Yeah.
What's it like in terms of, obviously, again, covering the fact that you document the evolution of the GT series itself? Have there been times when you've thought, what the hell is going on here? Or, like, where it's made it more difficult due to the sort of landscape?
Yeah, I mean, I try to be as unbiased as I possibly can be. Although I did once get told that by being unbiased, that was a bias.
Reverse psychology.
Right. Okay, whatever. And yeah, I have my own personal favourites with Gran Turismo and other games, and I have my own opinions on what certain features and what aspects and what cars, and occasionally what the hell is going on. And yeah, there's been times when I think around, it might have been GT5. I didn't enjoy GT5 all that much because of the horrible level gating system. And then I was kind of considering not getting GT6. I think I've had something similar with other franchises. Like, I think there's Assassin's Creed. I loved Assassin's Creed, and then I played Black Flag, and it's like, no, we don't. I think I was a bit put off by the DRM in the previous game as well. So yeah, I obviously have my own favourites. I have my own preferences with the various different Gran Turismo games, but obviously my job as the editor is to present as much of the facts as I can without a personal bias. Although, I do have to put my own little touches on, so I will, occasionally drop in a little quip about something here or there, and I think
what they've brought to the game is weird.
Yeah, well, some of the daily races we've had, some unusual decisions, and I might, make a little note about this or that or the other. Look, we've got DR and SR off again. But my job is to be as unbiased as I possibly can be, and I try to keep. And it's actually more or less the same with moderation. It's like moderation. The idea of moderation is to moderate things, to keep things in the centre, rather than allowing one extreme or the other. And I try to keep in that middle ground. And we get stick for being too soft on Gran Turismo, or too hard on Gran Turismo, or too hard on Forza Horizon, or too soft on Forza Horizon. I think we had a little bit of criticism for our Forza Motorsport review, too soft, and then we had a little criticism for our GT7 review because that was too soft, and it was,
I wonder if they think my Project Motor Racing review was too soft.
But yeah, it's a difficult path to tread, especially as Jordan said with forum moderation, is that you have to allow people to say their thoughts, but there is kind of there's a point, and I do try to let things go on and evolve naturally, and a lot of the time they're self-correct. We've got members who've been on the site for 20 years plus, and we've got a lot of mature people who aren't moderators necessarily, but the conversation will evolve, and I'll wake up in the morning and I'll see a report and go, oh, okay, click on that, and the message was about 40 posts ago, and whatever was the issue has gone away because it's all been talked out. We do get criticism for, why have you warned me and not them? Well, you don't know if we've warned them or not. That's the point. It's all in private. We try to, I see some of the frustration with PlayStation moderation is that, people get, you have done this, which is a breach of this, and then that's it. We try to tell people, what they've done wrong, where and why and how, so that, they don't do it again. And we have this warning system where, people are reminded not to do things. Sometimes, we give somebody a warning, they react badly to it, and it escalates, and it all goes. Sometimes we don't give them a warning, and they react badly to it, and it all goes out of hand. And we sometimes we're damned if we do, and we're damned if we don't. But generally speaking, over the past 25 years, of which I think I've been on the moderation team for about 20 years, we do tend to upset enough people in disparate ways that we're doing it okay. We're on average we're right in the middle where we should be.
I always say this about it. It's like with it's like Amazon reviews, isn't it? You only ever seem to hear a review on Amazon when someone's unhappy. If you buy something and it just works and it does fine, you're not going to write a review about it. You're not going to go raving about how good it is, are you? So it's a good ratio to have, is that, to say the least. Now, obviously, we've mentioned that there are a lot of users on GTPlanet, Jordan, and along the way there have obviously been some milestones of how many particular users. Were there any certain milestones you remember hitting you more emotionally than others?
Yeah. Again, this is going way back. It's when the forums hit 1,000 members, and I should have had this date ready. I wish I did. I wish I had that for you. It's probably in the forum somewhere where we were celebrating that. But I remember where I was at. I was in California at the time on a family vacation, and again, like, I had the laptop, a big thick laptop. With a dial-up modem, had to write down the phone numbers, the local phone numbers in the area. Like that's how the hotels didn't have Wi-Fi typically at this. I mean, I don't even know if Wi-Fi had been invented yet. My goodness, but but yeah, so you'd write down the phone numbers for your ISP that were in the places that you were going to go. And so then when you would open up your laptop and pull the phone line out of the phone in the room and plug it in and call a local number so you don't have long distance charges. And that was something that I had to do because I've basically been on call for 25 years. And so I've always had to connect to the site and make sure that everything was okay. I mean, the things that I have done for internet access over the last 25 years are just ridiculous. I mean, we could have a whole show just on that. I mean, even when I was in Los Angeles and I was uploading video, I had the video of Yas Marina Circuit, but the Wi-Fi in the hotel was so slow. I actually had to, it was faster to use the 5G on my phone's hotspot, but I could only get service in the bathroom. So the video, if you go watch our Yas Marina video, I recorded that in my hotel room and did it connected to the hotspot in my phone. My phone was hanging from the shower curtain rod in the bathroom, and that video was uploaded through that phone while it was hanging in the bathroom. So I mean, this is the kind of stuff. But and I've been doing this stuff so long, I didn't even bat an eye about it. And I was like, man, this is really weird that I've got the stuff I have to do for this website's crazy. But anyway,
it's amazing.
So I remember opening up my laptop in this hotel room and logging in, and I was like 1,000 members, like 1,000 people, and I was just visualizing that, and I couldn't believe it. That was one of the most special milestones, and then of course the 10-year anniversary was big, and 20 and 25 obviously will stand out in my mind, but. Those early milestones were what was really special because it wasn't a guarantee back then. I mean, nowadays we have all this momentum, we have all this history, but you don't really know where anything's going. You don't know what the future's like. So, hitting those types of landmarks was a really big deal for me.
Definitely. And GTR Dan has said it was the 4th of August 2001.
There we go. Thank you, Dan.
Wow. Incredible. Yep. I don't know about you two, but I do this weird thing where, for me, I remember a year based on the Formula One season.
Oh.
I don't know if you've got a reference for each year, a way of remembering a certain year or a way of calling back to it.
I kind of divide my life up by Gran Turismo mainline releases.
Yeah. So you know what? Like, is a different color for every few years? Like,
yeah, unless I'm like, okay, let's see. Was that GT5? Was that GT6 period? Okay, and then I'm like, okay, and then I calculate from there. Yeah.
That is amazing.
A quick example of the community nature of GTPlanet. Dan, whose name you just read out there, is my best man, and vice versa.
Wow, fair play.
We've both been on the site for ever. Yeah,
and and I love that so much. That's a story that I tell people that ask what I do, and man, I mean that's another subject, because if you're not into cars, you're not into racing or internet culture, and you ask me, like family members ask me what I do, I'm like, oh, like where do I begin? Yeah. But when I'm talking about the connections that are made in the community, I often reference you and Dan, and the fact that you have developed such a great friendship that you were eventually in each other's weddings, and then they're like, they did that, through your website, like just from meeting through your website. And I'm like, yeah. And that really helps them understand what a great connection that people have made in the community. But that's one of my favorite stories. I'm glad. I was hoping we'd have a way to work that in there, so I'm glad you brought that up.
That is belting, absolutely belting. Talk to us about GTpedia, Andrew. Obviously, that was quite the scalable release as part of this journey, which I've had the pleasure of obviously reading as part of scripts for videos as well at points.
Yeah, no, that's another mad one that Jordan has a hard time explaining to his family. Yes, I published a book with a person I've never seen.
Yeah.
I don't actually remember how it came about, but it was essentially a way to produce a kind of a reliable encyclopedia of Gran Turismo its events, the cars, the car lists, the track lists and the race lists that we'd seen on the forums over the years, in one place and as a hard copy, and with the idea that you could. I mean, even I was talking about this to someone on, I think it was Blue Sky the other day, that they were going through one of the older games. Like, I know this terrific reference guide you can use to find your way through the old games, and it turned out they actually already had it. So,
oh, no way.
Yeah, so it was a crazy undertaking. Getting all of the lists and the proofing and the reproofing and the reproofing, and then it was wild, that one.
Yeah, that is an incredible project. I can't believe we pulled that off. The amount of work that goes into making a physical book. It was entirely self-published. That was just me and Andrew. And, Andrew was responsible for the content and putting everything out there. And I was responsible for actually putting it out there and, finding a book printer, figuring out how books are laid out and designed. I designed the cover. I made the cover, did all the ISBN numbers and that sort of thing. Learned all about the like UPC codes, that sort of thing. It's in the Library of Congress, so it's been registered as an official thing. And that was a really cool, really special project. And when you're self-publishing a book, we ordered this print run. We actually had several print runs actually, but I'm like, I don't know how many to order. People like, nobody may want this. I mean, I think it's great, but will people really want this? And they did. And we were incredibly fortunate to have several print runs. We even had a European print run in the UK, which, had those shipped to Andrew. And so he was shipping out. I mean, again, the logistics of all this, like we had to figure all that out. And that was
signed a few as well.
What's that?
We even signed a few as well.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I've had people bring those books up to me sometimes, say, "Hey, can you sign this?" I'm like, "Wow, there it is again."
That's amazing.
Yeah,
but again, that's another indication of the physical, reach that the site has had on people and the impact. That they consider it to be that much of an important part of their life to say, I want you to physically sign this item, because you're the guys that made this happen. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. We did want to have a bit of an offbeat sort of fun section to this, and less about the history and things. Well, sort of, I don't know, but we wanted to touch on the fact that, well, I want to get Jordan to touch on the weirdest rumor or misconception that that's ever circulated back to you about GT Planet over the years, because I imagine there's been a couple of them as well.
There has been. I mean, there's been so many weird things that have gone on. I mean, I think obviously the most persistent is that it's actually flattering. People think that we are associated or part of Polyphony. We're part of Sony, and I mean that still happens very often. I think one of the strangest. Oh, this is good. This is good. So I actually had forgotten about this till just now. It came into my memory. I believe it was after. I want to say maybe it might have even been as recent as GT Sport, or maybe it was GT6. It's happened several times, but what happened was maybe it was GT5, GT6. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But no, sorry. I know I'm all over the place, but I literally just remembered this. This has happened several times in several different ways. So first of all, the PlayStation support thought that we were an official thing of Gran Turismo, and so when people were calling PlayStation to like redeem DLC codes, somehow I guess in Sony's internal database that they were using to reference support requests, they were calling PlayStation and they would tell them to go to GT Planet, and then they were emailing me and emailing through our contact form, and we're talking like a lot of messages, and they're mad and they're like, you need to make this code work in my game, and I'm like, I can't do anything for you, and they're like, yeah, no, but PlayStation said to call you, and so I was like, this is ridiculous. So I contacted my people, my contacts at PlayStation. I'm like, look, you guys have to change this because our contact form is just getting absolutely flooded, and you need to figure out in your knowledge base or wherever they're getting this information, you need to take GTPlanet out of it. It was still insane. I mean, it was just weeks of just getting bombarded by emails. And then there was another instance of this happening with, I think this may have been GT Sport, and it was GameStop. And they had a promotion where if you pre-ordered with them, you got a car in the game. Or maybe this was GT6, I can't remember. But you get a car in the game. Well, their DLC codes weren't working. They were calling GameStop. GameStop was telling them to contact GTPlanet. And, it was just chaos. And that was a lot harder to get that worked out because of the way GameStop, worked. I got so many messages from that. So when you see these official outlets get screwed up, it's pretty funny. But it's also very flattering because if GTPlanet seems legit enough for them to actually, put that in their knowledge base somehow, I take that as a compliment. But that was pretty funny. I still get a laugh out of that.
So we do still see people on the forum saying, I spoke to PlayStation support and they said come here.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we can't push any buttons, but
yeah, it's like, have you tried turning it off and on again?
Yeah.
I'd love that though. Like you say, Jordan, it's flattery of a strange design. To have that authority is fantastic. And again, it's another signal of just how well it's gone. Are there any certain moments or stories that sort of you had to be there, maybe that really still make you laugh to this day?
Man, I think
again a lot. I imagine
there's so many. We have April Fool's jokes gone awry. We had
they're always the best.
That's
a recipe.
Yeah, all the moderators and administrators started acting like that we were banning each other, and it really got people upset because they thought that the site was coming apart. And I just sort of played along with it because I thought it was funny. I didn't expect that people would take it so seriously. They were deeply concerned, and I'm like, okay, this was a bad joke. I didn't want to scare you guys. It was crazy.
Wow.
There was another instance. One of my favorites is a user named Monster Man, and he posted a thread. A brand new user went into the Rumble strip, and his first post was he titled it "I should me admin." Like me, I should be admin is what he wanted to type, but he typed me. And then he posted this, long paragraph about why he was qualified to be an admin on GTPlanet. And he just got hammered in the comments, but it was so funny. And he kept he was doubling down on that,
But then he reported you.
Yes. Then he reported me. Because I replied and I was like, I can't remember what I said, but yeah, then he reported me for being a jerk or something. It was.
Yep.
Oh, I still get a charge out of
getting
that.
reported on his own site.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
There's been quite a few GTPlanet memes where if you say something, some of the old guard will know, the 2.2 Camry.
Oh, somebody mentioned that in the comments earlier.
Yeah. Everyone loves the 2.2 Camry. It's fast if you know how.
Yeah. The colour
The
blue.
chap who was convinced he could make a Subaru Impreza into a Group 1 car. That was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had the color blue and argument thread. That was a wild one. Real OGs may remember the how many replies can we get thread. And fun, and that just sort of turned into a chat room. Fun fact, that was at one point the largest forum thread on the vBulletin platform, which if you know forum software, that was sort of the gold standard between 2003 2010 or so. And that was the forum software developers were aware of that thread. It was so large and so active that it was breaking their software. So I was in communication with them, and I'm like, I don't know, how many replies can we get? And it got a little rowdy. It had to be shut down, but it was putting a pretty serious strain on the server too back in the day.
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
That was crazy. So many good memories like that. I mean, you can look back and laugh at them, but at the time I'm sweating bullets. I'm a nervous wreck over all this stuff.
That's the joys of the internet, though, because it can be such a social event when something funny and random like that goes on, but you don't have to all be in the same room for it, and there's a strange sort of feeling of, that you're sat at your desk doing your bit, but there's loads of other people around the world doing the same thing. There's that sense of togetherness, like we said near the beginning, sitting on our own. I'm home alone today, Charlotte's at hers, and but we're still together and with everybody in the chat. It's a beautiful thing that we do. There's something similar that goes on the internet at the moment. I can't remember the name of the website, but I'm sure somebody knows it. But basically, there's a image somewhere where every so often it's a massive image and you can change the color of one pixel on that image somewhere.
Yeah.
And when famous streamers go on it, sometimes they'll get loads of people in the chat and they'll get loads of people to be online and be like, right, we're going to attack this part of it. And we're going to change the color of this bit, and just change it. Just daft little things like that can be so strangely fun. But if you explain it to somebody that doesn't get the internet culture side of it, they just think that we're lunatics. They don't get it.
Yeah.
But
I think that's sort of what I really love about GTPlanet, more than the fact that it's about cars and racing and all that stuff. I've always had this sort of, I can't even really put it into words, but I love when people use the internet to come together around particular topics, obscure topics. I mean, even something as simple as a group chat with your friends. I mean, if you think about it, it's really kind of cool how you can all be in different corners of the world, and yet you can stay together in real time. I mean, what we're doing here, this is pretty freaking cool. And we've got people in the chat from all over the world. I saw Nathan, Nismo Nath, he's down there in New Zealand. We're all connected by this fabric and this shared history, and that's what I think makes GTPlanet so special and sort of rare, because we do have these amazing community platforms. Like, you can go on Discord and create a community, Facebook groups, Reddit, of course, but especially with Facebook groups and Reddit and stuff, it's different because it's more of like a drive-by thing. So it's just sort of there's not a lot of continuity to it. And with GTPlanet, you do have that. It's a different sort of format where it's not really about one person or one personality. Like it's not about, like you mentioned, streamers and stuff. Like, it's really tied around that one particular streamer. But GTPlanet isn't like that. GTPlanet is really tied around itself, and it's all integrated with these interpersonal relationships. It's not about one particular person, and that is really quite unique these days on the internet, and I think that's why it's been able to survive so well, because the novelty of connecting around a particular subject on the internet these days is long gone, but GTPlanet persists precisely because of the format that it exists in. Yeah,
it stood the test of time as a result of that as well, and again, I know I'm part of it now, but even from I've not been here long, and it's still a joy to see it, and hear the stories, because I haven't been through all of that with you guys. And I think I feel like I'm in a bit of a privileged position because of that. But it's great to be in that position, and I hope I don't get fired. Looking forward, obviously we are 25 years in now officially as well. Or actually, do you know the time of day? Is it a weird thing like my mum remembers the minute I was born or anything like that?
My mom remembers that as well.
Yeah. Do you know what
wristband with it on 2:04 a.m.
Flipping heck! Oh, you kept her up at night then. Do you remember the minute that it was registered, Jordan, or is that too specific?
No, I don't know the exact minute because my mother registered it. But yeah, I remember walking down the hall and walking into the living room, and she was on this computer that we had, this laptop, and she's like, "I just bought you a domain name for your birthday," and I was like,
"Happy birthday!"
I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh no!" I was like, because it was it was a decent amount of money at the time. It wasn't like $5.99 or whatever domains are now. And I was like, wow, I'm gonna have to figure this out. It was really exciting, but also really scary. It was sometime later in the evening here. I remember it was dark outside, but
okay. So maybe not exactly 25 years yet. Then maybe give it a few hours. And
we're close enough.
Closing in.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, looking forward, there's obviously more milestones on the horizon. What do you think success looks like for GTPlanet? Maybe even not even just the next year, maybe the next couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we can continue to thrive in this environment, we'll be doing really well because the internet's changing. I mean, it doesn't look today the way it looked just a few years ago. We've got AI, you've got these, and it's just, today's tech world is moving so fast, and I've been in it literally 25 years. I was on the bleeding edge of the internet, and I love technology and the internet and internet culture and all that stuff. So it's just changing so fast, and I try not to get distracted on these new trends and all these things. I mean, even here we are on YouTube, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, you should do more YouTube, do more social media, do more this, do more that, and make a Discord server, do this and that." And I mean, yeah, I could, but one thing I've always been about is building our house on our own land, and it's sort of, I mean, it's sort of. It's not something you see a lot of people doing these days, because running a website is hard, and it's so much easier to get reach on these other platforms and doing things like that. I mean, and that, I totally understand that. But yeah, I just want to keep investing in GTPlanet and doing what's best for the website, and hopefully we can continue to thrive. I mean, I got a lot of ideas, a lot of things I want to do on the website, and I feel like the future of sim racing is really bright. I came back home from Fukuoka, the GT World Series, and just really excited about the future of everything. And I think we're in a great spot with this much momentum and this much history. I'm very, very excited and optimistic about the future.
Is there anything you can tell us about the future of these ideas that you mentioned, or is it all very,
no, you're not getting anything out of me. No. I don't want to. Yeah, including the things I have planned for GTPlanet. I don't want to mention them, because as soon as I mention them, then something's going to happen and derails everything. But
that's fair.
But I've got some things that I'm working on that I'm really excited about. So
awesome. That's all I will ask. That is all I will ask. Obviously, moving forward as the three of us as well. Obviously, there's a lot of ideas and things on the horizon. Anyway, I mean, I'll tell you all. The way Jordan thinks with videos and content and presenting it blows my mind even now. So it's no wonder that we're here. But I mean, Andrew, in terms of the GT franchise itself, obviously continuing to move forward, the wonderful Mr. Harrison Lord did ask earlier for our potential GT8 predictions, which we have mentioned briefly in a podcast before. But for those that haven't seen that,
Tom is always fishing. He's such a good journalist. He's always looking for that inside line.
Yeah. What are we feeling for GT8, Andrew? What do you reckon?
I think it's back end of 27.
Yeah. Fairs. In any major overhauls for anything?
Oh, well, now, so I have
here we go. I've got one.
A couple of things I'm not allowed to talk about. But yeah, I think we've got some decent stuff to look forward to. Yeah, I mean, from what I've heard, it's going to be quite good. Oh, that's high praise indeed, isn't it? Oh, you're so soft on Gran Turismo. Yeah,
fanboy alert.
Yeah, press the button.
Yeah, I think obviously people are going to be asking, is he going to be on PC? No idea.
Don't be silly. I would scream. For those that don't know, until I actually joined GTPlanet, I didn't have a PS5, and it was very kindly sorted out. But I'm a PC gamer through and through. So if it came to PC, I would squeal and make a lot of very, very strange noises, because the only reason I would own a PlayStation is for Gran Turismo. There are no other exclusive games on it that excite me in any way that make me think, oh, I'd buy one of them for that. Even my brother, my brother hasn't played Gran Turismo since number 3, and he has considered getting a PS5. He tried Gran Turismo 7, and he fell in love with it that much that he would consider getting a PS5 just for Gran Turismo 7. Even now, it still has that pull to today. I'm with Andrew that I think GT8 will be 2027. If not, it'll be like December. But the thing we spoke about in our last podcast was GTA 6. Because that everything in the landscape is going to depend on when that gets released, I think. because it's going to be there's not going to be a game in the next decade that's as massive as that, surely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, we were quite surprised to an extent to learn that Forza Horizon 6 was kind of always planned for May, bearing in mind GTA 6 was originally planned for May 26.
yeah,
But of course, Rockstar managed to kick the can down the road 6 months. So, yeah, they got a bit lucky with that one as Playground. Of course, they've got Fable to come as well, just to veer out of the racing game industry. So they've got another big release to come as well.
yeah, true.
But yeah, I think nobody's going to be wanting to release anything too close to GTA 6 because, yeah,
Won't get the player base.
It's like putting your film out alongside of the next Lord of the Rings. It's just
yeah, it's very, very true. Very true. Just quickly, I'm not violent asking what my favorite racing game is. At the risk of being kicked off this podcast, it's iRacing. Just simply because that's the sim, even though they call themselves a game, that has formed my motorsport commentary career. That's what started me off doing all of this. Basically, is iRacing. Just to slowly wrap things up here, then. Any thanks are in order or anything, Jordan? Anyone you'd like to thank? If you know, obviously I know there's a lot of people and we've not got another hour to get through all of them, but is there anyone in particular or groups of people?
Well, yeah, I think I've got to give out a shout out to the people who have really invested a lot of time into GTPlanet, because if the site didn't have this community, and if it didn't have people like people that are in the chat now and people like Andrew that really cared about it, then it would be a lot harder for me to give it 100% like what I do. And if like the fact that it has this community is what really makes it special. If I was just posting news about Gran Turismo, it would be a lot harder to just stay engaged from my passion for the game alone. But when I go into the forums, it's sort of this endless spring of enthusiasm that comes from just being part of that and seeing the engagement. So I have to really give a special thanks to those people who have been around for so many years, because I just don't think I could do it and execute things at this level if I did not feel an obligation to them. I do feel like I'm hosting them in a way, and I want to make sure that they have a good time and that they have some place to connect, and that's a responsibility that really keeps me going. So yeah, special thanks to all of those guys for sure.
Yeah, there's and like you say, there's such a massive community to it, and so many people that have contributed at all different levels. I imagine over the time, it can be the slightest little thing can make such a difference in something like this as well.
And so many people, like going back to Amar and going back to the Corey that helped me set it up. I mean, there's all these things and all these people that have been involved in some way or another. I mean, Kazunori Yamauchi, if he had not had these games, we sort of take it for granted now, and obviously he's been extremely successful. But look at the ecosystem that it created, and the fact that we're all here and doing this is because of what he did and what they do at Polyphony. So I think there's so many people that have helped GTPlanet in so many ways. People that have, like there was somebody, it was in Sport Compact Car in like 2002 in a magazine. It's a magazine. For those of you who don't remember what those are, they're like pieces of paper. They're like these little thin books, and they're like paper size, and you would go to the store and you would buy them based on what you like. And there was one called Sport Compact Car, a popular sort of like a tuning magazine at the time, and they did a feature on websites that you could visit. Again, this was back in the day where it would be like, you're like, oh, I've got an internet connection. What websites do I go to? And they had some cool links that you could check out. And I actually remember a lot of users have told me over the years they found the site after seeing it in that magazine. So little things like that. I'll never be able to fully appreciate just how many people have contributed to making GTPlanet what it is, and it's even someone as simple as replying to a thread, that sends out an email that gets people coming back, keeping them engaged, and it sort of snowballs and just keeps things going. So I'm just forever grateful to that, and all the people in the chat. I mean, you can see so many great comments and stuff, and that's just so great. I hope we got to everybody's questions. It's been moving pretty quick.
Yeah, we've been on for 2 hours now. It's crazy.
Have we really? Wow.
I'm scrolling back to see if there's any we missed. Somebody asking how old you are, Jordan, and I replied already saying that you never age, and it really frustrates me.
Well, I think we saw from that pictures of him as a 14-year-old that he does.
He does. Yeah, that's
I do.
the
In
only
fact,
proof I've ever had. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I'm editing a podcast or any of our videos or anything that has Jordan's face on, my girlfriend always tells me just how lovely his hair is. I think, to be fair, she's only got mine to look at, and I've barely got any. It's falling out.
Well,
and yeah, I can't say anything in this scenario, obviously. I'm just having a look to see if there were any questions that really tickled me. I think, to be fair, the favorite car thing was funny because it got the answer straight away that it was a 2.2 Camry. That's just brilliant. I can't see any others at this point. Your favorite memory, which we answered before. Who the hell's Chaz? I would love that. Yeah, I don't think there's much else unless people want to get them in now. Yeah, I mean, the incredible Mr. J says he has one. So, yeah. Oh, he says. Oh, wait, what? Oh, he said it was his name. Oh no, I don't know if that's him saying he's got a question or whether he has a name. Biggest wish to Gran Turismo 8. What do you want? Is as much as you'd think that would be on everybody's tongues. It's not one we've been asked.
Yeah, I would really like to see sort of like a track editor, return, sort of like a course maker, an updated version of that. I think that would add a lot of longevity to the game. I also really miss the car trading feature in Gran Turismo 5. That alone was responsible for so much activity on GTPlanet. That's GTPlanet Jordan talking, not game fan Jordan talking. But so many people would come to GTPlanet because you could only trade like one car per 24 hours. So people would set up their trading slots on the forums, and we call it the GT5 Marketplace. It's still there. You can check it out. I think it has like like 1 million posts in that one.
Originally, it was more. You could send more cars, but it was like instantly abused by everybody.
Yeah.
So I think it took about a month before they instituted this one car, and it was a maximum value of 1 million credits as well. So that you couldn't send that black X2010.
Yeah. That was such a cool feature. But anything that gets people communicating with each other in the game, because the game has its own limitations in terms of communication. So anytime people want to reach out and connect to each other outside of the game, that's the sort of thing which helps GTPlanet, and that's sort of what I want to see. Again, that's GTPlanet first. That's my motto. Sort of coming back to that.
I would love to see proper race mods return.
Yeah,
I think you can do an awful lot right now in GT7.
Yeah.
But you can't fundamentally turn a road car into a race car like you could in the older games. And I know that's not exactly an easy wish, but that's the thing that, that's what GT1 and GT2 were about. Was, taking your Civic and turning it into the sort of car that you see at SEMA, which is, something they've been celebrating more recently as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, and lovely to just see the comment as well, by the way, saying that they've been running their Gran Turismo League out of the forums for 15 years now, the Snail Racing League. Hats off. That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. For me, in GTA, I'd like to see what some people are suspecting, and I'd like to see it follow a similar power pack sort of format with the actual events, because we've discussed it before with this sort of catch the rabbit, as Jordan called it. I'll never forget that. Catch the rabbit races where you start last 45 seconds behind the car in the lead, and somehow you've got to beat them in equal machinery. When the AI aren't as fast as Sophie, it's doable, but sometimes you have to do a ridiculous strategy and run the car at like fuel mode 6 or use a car from a higher class that's been detuned. That's just not proper racing to me. And I love the way the power pack works. I will be doing more videos on the power pack as well, just simply because the Japanese cars bit is just hilarious. But I love the qualifying and race format that we get, especially with Sophie AI, because it's a challenge and you're racing cars and it feels like you have to try rather than just pick the fastest car and drive off. But on top of that, I'd like to see a little bit more refinement in terms of the car categories. So, for example, if you're setting up an AI race and you're choosing the Group 2 cars, it will be either stuff from GT500, DTM, whether it's new or old GT500. I'd love to be able to choose more categories within that for more specified racing, rather than just anything. If I want only early 2000s GT500s, for example, I could choose that. Just a little bit more categorization in the cars, which I understand is difficult because there's hundreds, but I think with how much effort they go to already, that surely can't be too far away. So, yeah I think that would just
VR2 support as well from my end.
Yes,
because I think VR2 has been one of those things where anyone who's tried it has said it's transformative.
Yeah,
I understand that there's potential arguments on the side of Sony not necessarily wanting to continue investing, but I hope they do.
Yeah,
even though it's too expensive for me.
Yeah.
And I do want to give a shout out to the Snail guys also, because it's just amazing what they do, and it's an honor to host a league with that much enthusiasm and passion on GTPlanet. I mean, it's just, there's so many things like that. There's so many aspects of the site. You can just go down these rabbit holes in subforums, and there's all these things going on, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know this thread was that active. Oh, wow. And I'm looking at it, and it has so many posts and stuff. But Snail has been around for a long time. Just an incredible group of guys. You guys do an amazing job organizing that and keeping that going. Also, got to give a shout out to our weekly race series guys. So many people were involved in that. It's kind of petered out now. I won't say it's obsolete, but the game's weekly race series and all that stuff, the game has so many weekly challenges and things now in it that's where people have naturally gravitated to is the challenges in the game. So it was more difficult to keep that going, which I understand. But it wasn't for a lack of passion or enthusiasm from so many people who have contributed to that. Again, it's just there's so many people that have made GTPlanet what it is. It's just it's hard to wrap your head around it. It really is.
Absolutely.
It really is.
It really is.
And all of the moderation team, we've had to put up with an awful lot of crazy stuff over the past 25 years.
The moderators too. Yeah, the moderators too. They do so much work. We see so much spam. I think people would be truly shocked to see the amount of work that the moderation team does. And it's such a thankless job, and people don't realize just how hard it is, and so many things that we have to deal with are ambiguous. And it's like, well, really both of these people are sort of in the wrong. And it's like, well, if you do one thing, then they think that it offends the other person, and you don't want to show favoritism, but you do want to be fair. And you have, it's not just technical problems that I have to deal with. As sort of the final arbiter of a lot of moderation disputes, it all ends with me. But there's so many social dynamics at play when we have to make these moderation decisions, and it's not easy. But the staff does an incredible job of that, and so much spam. We get so much spam. So much of it doesn't even hit the forums. We're attacked daily. The site is attacked constantly from different spammers and attackers, people probing for vulnerabilities, that sort of thing. It's just it's constant. And we're keeping older accounts secure. We have to do all these things now because people's passwords get compromised, and then you have somebody's account. I won't bore everybody with the details, but it's a lot, and I have to give a huge thank you to our moderation team over the years, everybody who's contributed, because it's not an easy job.
No. And like you say, completely thankless job sometimes as well, because they don't often see how much goes into it, or even the stuff that never hits the forums. So there's a lot of defense having to go on there, and hats off to them. Just to quickly hint as well, for those that enjoy having the three of us on screen together, we do aim. I think we mentioned a while ago that we were going to do a race or an evening where we race each other. We've brainstormed some formats and things where we all pick a car and track combo each and try each other's picks and all that. We do still aim on doing that. It's just that trying to get the three of us together is, as we found out for this, which we were very lucky that we were all available on the day. It can be quite difficult sometimes to get those three nailed down. So we are going to still hopefully do that at some point. But a final question, Jordan, and the big one. What does it feel like sitting here today celebrating 25 years of GT Planet?
I tell you what, I've seen the number, I've typed it out, I've been making these graphics and working on this, putting this live stream together for the last week, and it's still, I don't know, the number, it just doesn't, it's hard to wrap your head around it. And when I think about GT Planet, there's so many aspects to the site, and I've kind of alluded to that earlier. There's so many different eras, and there's so many different things that have happened, and the site has, it's changed, but it's also stayed the same in so many ways. It's impossible for me to look at it as one big monolithic thing. And and I think about the way things used to be, and then the way things are now, and the things and how it's changed, and it's really sort of hard to wrap my head around this big, opus, this giant body of work, and to compress it into one thing, because it does encompass so many different things, such a broad depth of just things, challenges, things in the community, things real life travels, Gran Turismo, cars, people, relationships, my life. I mean, like I said, I've been on call for 25 years, so I mean, my phone goes off in the middle of the night. It's woken me up many times because the server's offline, and I gotta fix it. I gotta make sure I have an internet connection at all times, and so it's always there. It's always there, and
it's constant.
It's hard to describe what that's like. I kind of don't really know any other way. I've been doing this for so long, so that's a weird thing about it. But and it's not always easy. It's very difficult to do all this. But I'm just extremely thankful, and I know I've said this at every anniversary, our 10th, our 20th, and I'm saying it again at our 25th. I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. I'm so thankful that so many people have come to this site and have been a part of it in one way or another, because it's just it's really a special thing, and I'm really fortunate to be a part of this.
Well, I share that sentiment. I'm so grateful to have been brought on board with this in the last couple of years, and it's a joy to do it all, and I'm sure it's the same for you as well, Andrew.
For the most part, yeah. Yeah, no, as George, I mean, I say, so moderation is a thankless task. We do get thanked from time to time by people, but it's heavily outweighed by the other side of the coin. But we don't really like upsetting people, but sometimes the best way to upset as few people as possible is to upset one person by getting rid of them. And we, I personally, people always say, moderators, power tripping. It's being a moderator is actually the least powerful part of the site, because you kind of, as I said earlier, you kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't, and you have to let things flow in a certain direction, and you don't really want to stymie the discussion because you don't want to censor opinions. Sometimes the criticisms of Gran Turismo are as valuable as the praises. Sometimes the praises are over the top and completely unhelpful. But you have to let the discussion unfold the way it is. And, occasionally we have to vote people off the island, and that's something I really hate doing personally, but it's something that is occasionally necessary. And it's, all of the moderation staff have to face that from time to time, that, we have to sanction somebody for not following the rules properly. And it's not ever a great feeling unless it's a spammer, in which case, yay. But yeah, no, for the most part, I mean, since we've started doing the whole the blog part of the site, it's come on leaps and bounds, and it's been fun to be along for the past, I don't even know how long now.
Long old time.
Yeah.
Long old time. Well, Jordan, I'll leave the final word to you, mate. But yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed getting together for this tonight, and I hope everybody has enjoyed watching this too. And obviously, if you're watching this afterwards, then sorry that you couldn't catch us live, but we hope you enjoy watching it back and listening to the wonderful stories of how we got here with 25 years of GT Planet. But Jordan, any final words before we go?
Well, thanks to everybody for joining us on this, our first live edition of this podcast. You know, I mean, I don't even want to call it a podcast because it's just like, I just want it to be a thing that we do, you know, but this has been really fun. I've loved interacting with people in the chat. Hopefully we can do more of these. And, yeah, I mean, thank you guys for being here and taking part, and thanks for being a part of GT Planet. So
thank you.
Yep. So I'm going to end the stream now. Thanks everybody for joining us, and yeah, we'll see you for the 30th, hopefully.